You've officially moved from an ACAB perspective to like, okay, there's a necessity
reformed policing.
What are your thoughts on community policing?
Community policing? I don't know.
Yeah, there's like a danger almost to create a militia. So almost what it feels like.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
So you mean like its own government within its city? Like,
not so much that.
like
it's
an
like
area.
You have like you have volunteers that essentially act as like community police officers that just like, keep an eye out for each other, this, that, the other. The right community, I think it would work, but we all know that humans are definitely a little rough.
Right.
So things can go south pretty quickly.
Right. So you're saying like there could be power dynamic issues.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden you get a lynch mob and it's like they believe that somebody is one way and then it's like, okay, take them out.
People rise to the top and they like the power and things can go sideways real quickly.
Well, it was funny because I got asked the question. They're like, have you ever considered policing? I was like, not in your life. Like, I've never, ever been like, yes, I want to be a police officer. And they're like, really? I was like, no, I was in the military for 3 years. Like, that was enough. No, thanks.
That's fair.
But
there's an attractive argument for community policing if they have accountability. So I think it is important to have people from your community who just like, we're looking out for each other. And that's kind of the problem we're having with policing in general is we've become so detached from each other in our communities that now police don't really know who you are, don't care who you are, and they'll rough you up if they have to.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what's actually CBC brought up the article about the Finnish police officers and like the training they go through and how it's like there's so much respect between community for police and then vice versa, where they're like, okay, we spend so much time doing community work and actually being visible, not as a police officer, but first as a citizen, and like kind of this idea of like not being above the law, but being governed by the same laws. And so it was just kind of a really, really nice take on it.
What a novel concept.
I know, right? I was just like, this should be the bar that we trip over.
So low.
Yeah, it was really interesting, and that was what came out of the mass casualty report that was just recently released about the mass shooting in Nova Scotia.
And they said, we're going to do nothing about it.
Because they have all the RCMP are trained in one spot in Saskatchewan. I can't remember the place now. This is actually really bad for creating groupthink, and the Saskatchewan government was like, absolutely not, we need this here. This is great for the economy.
True.
Like,
that's all we have.
Yeah. And they're like, don't take this from us. I was like,
you can see from miles away.
But like it was clear in the report, they're like, no, like this is actually not good. Like creating a bunch of groupthink robots, like that's not what we want. We want people who are like contextually appropriate for the area, who understand the people, who understand the culture, who understand like the very makeup of that area. Like we don't want to just like, it's funny copy paste.
Because RCMP has like a pretty blatant rule that they will not place you where you live. Like
which is kind of like, I understand.
The reverse thinking, right?
Yeah, I understand why, because they're like, we don't want people to just like bend the rules for their friends.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, you need to be able to understand the community in order to actually police it, I think.
Totally.
So you need a middle ground.
Totally.
Yeah.
You get someone coming in from Toronto, you think they're going to care about you?
And do you think a Nova Scotian's going to respect a Torontonian cop?
No, exactly.
No.
The little training that the RCMP gets is more than what the HRP gets, is what they said.
Wow.
And they were also saying that they personally like have just had some pretty bad experiences within HRP, and that they were looking to the RCMP to finish out their career with because, yeah. So man, like they gotta do better.
Yeah, I mean,
but council's just like, let's pour some more money on it.
Totally. Well, that was the thing. Well, it's nice to know at least the ACAB crowd didn't influence council.
They had mentioned, because I said I've already kind of alluded to the fact that I'm like not big on the old traffic cops because I like to speed, which like don't come at me that I've revealed that. But I was like, why don't they retask a lot of these traffic cops to do like patrols and checks and like major crimes and things like that? Because they were saying they're like, we're really understaffed in those areas, and we're just going nonstop for all these like things like stabbings and thefts and stuff like that, which is in my opinion what I believe police should be doing. And I was like, why are you understaffed in that area? And they said, well, during COVID we pulled the officers who were doing I forget what speed checks or whatever it is they're called, like cops out there doing traffic, pulled them in to do some of this other work.
Like what? Check knocking on doors?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
But the thing was that they said that basically the traffic police didn't want to do the other work because all they did was traffic before. So they kind of like basically
Oh
quiet
my.
quit almost, where they just didn't do anything because
The OG quiet quitters. Oh my
because they
god.
didn't want to do it because they were like, no, we were traffic cops. That's what we wanted to do. If we're not doing that, we're not doing anything.
That's kind of iconic.
I was just like,
I love that for them.
oh my God. And so they were like, yeah, no, that doesn't work because that's what happens. I was like, well, why wasn't anybody fired over that? And they're like, please union again. I was like, oh my God.
That's why I hate unions, man.
Like they're a full cop, right? Like they were just stationed to be that, right? Like
Yeah.
they're trained the same as every other cop, right?
Right. But you get into
You
a
fall
niche,
into a rhythm, and
that's your thing. So
Oh wow.
they didn't like that. So I was like, that's interesting.
It's like, yeah.
So,
I'd love to be a traffic cop too. I get it.
There's a degree. It's a degree safer than other jobs in the force. I'm sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's
for sure.
exactly.
I'm sure it's a big
But
part of
yeah,
it.
so I'm ready for every cop out there on TikTok to be like, oh my God, and get on their keyboard. But it's a really interesting conversation. It's definitely one that
They're gonna target us now.
yeah.
They'd be like, oh yeah, well they have access to the database. They might
pull our plates.
pull our full names, pull our plates. All right, well,
Pull them over every time.
Yeah.
All right, we're just gonna give those guys a little bit of a hard time, and this is why people don't like cops, is because you do crap like that. Like, it's just a reality.
We created a full narrative.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny that the last thing it's like you never hear like F the fire department made into a song. I was like, oh, that's so true.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's fair. But we definitely hear a lot of F the traffic cops, so.
Yeah. Just trying to get to work, man. Just trying to get to work.
alone.
Sorry to interrupt this episode, but if you could all like, comment, and subscribe, it truly helps us out in the long run. We look at all the comments and the feedback, and it means the world to us. Thanks for watching.